Fast forward, ini como eu chana iso AGH Politics Avenue. Podcast hours training because miki headlines. Ni jamre na iriwi exumo ewaha ani di mahu rock sema ene edidi kanya. Mr. So bitima subscribe to the channel. Hit notification bell so share na afo franso ensa into me enkabi. Now Ken Ofori-Atta in detention. Lawyers are Morgan her locally. And yadi or give up on ya and yasam go to a crowd. Na and craft and information in sa akan yiribi exomo any day and say almost alizo mubuta on ya case no and yasam go to a crowd almost ede and share mapa e kwem na omu and so etimi akon aje eye omu client Ken Ofori-Atta say Ghana has here onto na any day in CLC. Strategies are what we do akwamu onia imongrom na yehwene ko ani dia ba chino so am say howsy age politics abedi and the political issues I beto fombia eri exum yonko yentsim.
Lawyers for former finance minister Ken Ofori-Atta are preparing to fight a new legal battle to keep him in the US and prevent his potential deportation to Ghana. Well, the former finance minister was taken in and detained on Tuesday by U.S. immigration officers for overstaying his visa. Following this detention, the next course of action will be for Ken Ofori-Atta to be deported to Ghana, but his lawyers are fighting to prevent that from happening. A member of Ken Ofori-Atta's legal team, Frank Davis, tells Joy News their counterparts in the United States have filed a petition to extend his stay in the U.S. and prevent his deportation to Ghana.
Ken has been detained or said that he is in the custody of U.S. immigration. Yes, it is a reason because he has a petition which is pending for an adjustment of his status to allow him to remain or continue to stay in the U.S. legally due to the fact that the extent of his visa to remain in the U.S. has lapsed. So the petition has been pending and awaiting the resolution of the petition. That's what I have detained for that matter to be resolved and expeditiously dealt. So it is not a strange phenomenon.
So this is not a reaction to the extradition request by Ghana?
Oh, definitely not. Definitely. Our counterpart lawyers in the U.S. are working on the petition and it should be resolved anytime soon. It's not something that is beyond the U.S. authorities to extend one period of stay in the U.S. If you are able to advance regions where your visa stay or period should be extended.
And my colleague Ken Ofori has been providing details about the facility Ken Ofori-Atta is detained in.
Atta has been detained in the former Virginia jail, that's Newman Sand Creek Regional Jail, repurposed into a detention center, that's the Caroline Detention Facility. Now, this facility can hold up to 336 adult detainees, that's men and women, which now include Ken Ofori-Atta, depending on the United States Immigration Customs Enforcement contract and population levels, that's ICE. Now, the Caroline Detention Facility is one of the two major ICE detention centers in Virginia, the other being in Farmville. Now, in 2015, both facilities were running at high occupancy levels, reflecting broader trends of increased ICE detention since Trump's immigration crackdown. Now, in fact, as of November 28, 2025, the Caroline Detention Center has surpassed its maximum capacity, according to ABC 8 News. Now, as of November 28, the average daily detainee population of the facility was 346. According to data compiled by Track Immigration, that's 10 more inmates beyond its design capacity. Now, the facility does not have a good reputation for managing detainees. Mr. Ofori-Atta will also share this new temporary home with criminals. The latest data from the facility shows that 120 of its inmates are in fact criminals. He'll be part of the 226 detainees described as non-criminal detainees. For a former finance minister, and an investment banker, it's fair to assume that CDF will not be a comfortable home for the next few nights.
Let's get more on this, and joining me on the telephone lines right now is a member of Ken Ofori-Atta's legal team, Frank Davis. Frank, glad you could join me this afternoon. There's a growing public opinion that following Mr. Ofori-Atta's detention in the U.S. Facility over a visa overstay, the Ghanaian government could now move to seek his extradition. Is this a concern for the legal team as you also battle his immigration status with the U.S. authorities?
Good afternoon, and your cherished listeners and esteemed viewers. Well, let me be emphatic and categorical about this. There is nothing to be of any significant concern to the legal team, because what has occasioned is detention, so to speak, is a purely immigration matter, which is common and routine. Indeed, for whatever reason, if your visa stay or period is about to lapse and you have reasonable belief that you have to remain in the jurisdiction of the country for an extended period, you are allowed to, as it were, put in a petition for your immigration status to be evaluated and determined. So it is customary with the U.S. immigration procedures and practices and processes. So it is nothing new. It is nothing new. So yes, the petition has been lodged with the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, which is popularly known as the ICE, and they are reviewing the petition. In fact, the counterpart legal team, our counterpart legal team in the United States,
right,
the team that our Attorney General, the leader of the bar, has described as a very experienced and cracked legal team, is working on the petition. And in the fullness of time, a determination will be made one way or the other, based solely on the merits of the petition. So there is nothing to be worried about. Absolutely nothing to be worried about.
And we're also hearing that your client has filed for a permanent residency in the United States. Can you clarify that for us?
I would not speculate and speak on that. That is not the reason why you called me. So let us focus on why you called. I'm not able to speak to that proposition that we have filed for an extended or permanent residency in the United States. I will decline the invitation to speak on.
You've already mentioned that you are in touch with your colleagues in the United States. How is your client doing? Because we know that ICE detention center has gained some quite of notoriety there.
Whatever it is, whichever environment you find yourself, you learn to adapt. Like I always say, the good Lord God is keeping Ken Ofori-Atta as he's keeping all of us. He will make do with the limitation of the circumstances now. And when the matter is determined, he will have his freedom and liberty today. So yes, it is not the best of facilities if you know that Caroline detention facility. But whatever it is, be that as it may, that is where the circumstances of his stay have found it. So he will learn to abide.
And we're also learning that his visa expires next month, and this was a visa that required multiple entry into the United States. The big question now that he's in ICE detention center is, why did he not do the multiple entry, exit the United States and come back to have prevented all this from happening?
You see, that should tell you the sincerity of the man we are talking about. You have just said something which is quite poignant and significant. He could have opted for that option, but because he didn't have any intention to run away from this jurisdiction, he went purposely for a medical procedure. So that was why his visa, strictly speaking, his visa is supposed to lapse or be terminated on the 14th of February, St. Valentine's Day. But because he is still attending on to his medical procedure on the recuperative stage, he thought it wise to extend his stay so that he can still receive the best of medical treatment where he is. So yes, he could have opted for that option, but he didn't think it was necessary at the time, and it is not necessary now. That petition will be determined, and we will all know the outcome.
You've always told us that the main reason Ken Ofori-Atta is out of Ghana and in faraway United States is on medical grounds. Now that he is in ICE detention center, is he getting that medication that he is required to?
I believe so. I believe so. The mere fact that he is in a detention facility will not absolve him of whatever medical treatment he's supposed to give. I mean, we all know the Americans and the developed democracies of this world. We see it in the films of it. They are given the very best of treatment. The movies are there for us to evaluate. They are given the very best of treatment. So it has nothing to do with whether he will run a shortage of medical treatment or medical attention. Whatever is supposed to be done for him to stay strong and healthy will be done. I believe in that.
And of course, since this news broke, it has generated a lot of public interest. Have you got any indication from government as to whether or not it also wants to, swoop in and perhaps initiate some deportation processes? Have you got anything at all from government?
I don't speak for government. I'm a lawyer for...
No, but you're a lawyer. I mean, perhaps they might have contacted you. What about the OSP?
No, not yet. No, not yet. The OSP has not contacted us. The Office of the Attorney General has also not contacted us. So we can only at this stage speak to what we know, and that is speaking for Ken Ofori-Atta. Whatever the government has to do in the enabling circumstances, I believe that as this matter is unfolding, I mean, they'll come out with their own state. But for now, whatever we say is limited to Ken Ofori-Atta.
We know, at least from what we've been seeing in the news in the U.S., that the moment you are put in ICE detention center, you are likely to be deported to your country of origin. Is the Ken Ofori-Atta legal team prepared for any eventuality like that?
I'm happy you have used likely, but the circumstances for one to be put in a detention center are separate, distinct, and essentially different from whatever faces a particular individual. Ken Ofori-Atta is not there because he has, as it were, overstayed and is an illegal immigrant. That's the difference. He is not an illegal immigrant. Those who are deported to their country of origin are people who have long overstayed their welcome in the United States of America. This is not the case. He went specifically on a medical conference or medical procedure visa, and that visa will lapse on the 14th of February. That is why he has applied through the petition for an extension of his stay and to continue to remain in the United States. So they are significantly different. If that were to be the case, I think Ken Ofori-Atta will have been. Processes for his deportation will have commenced almost immediately. But that is what his circumstances there are completely different from what others also have.
And how are his immediate family taking this, his wife and children?
What do you think?
I'm asking how his immediate family, the wife and children, how they are taking this news.
And I'm saying, what do you think? They are fine. And what else can they do? They are fine. They are fine because they believe in the process and what will come out of it. So we are all keeping our fingers crossed. It is not the best of situations, in any event. If your husband, your father, your uncle, whatever, grandfather, whatever, is in a detention facility, it's not the best of options. But we are fine.
Have you been informed how long your client is going to be kept in the ICE detention center?
It is not an information which comes readily or easily. It is based on a determination of factors. So that is why the petition is pending.
It's based on the determination of who? I didn't get that.
What?
I didn't get that.
I said it depends on the multiplicity of factors and the determination of the petition, which is still pending. But like I said, in the fullness of time, we all get to know the outcome.
Right.
But we are optimistic, very optimistic.
Right. Frank Davis, thank you very much for your time. He's a member of the legal team of former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. So to help us better understand how U.S. immigration laws apply in such cases, we're joined by Professor Šťǒrm. He's an expert in international law. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon, Professor Šťǒrm. Walk us through how this works under U.S. law. Is it automatic that, once a person is detained for U.S. visa violations, they face deportations almost immediately?
Thanks for having me. Yes, we could say that about 90% or more in such situations, the person could face deportation. And but of course, there's also the possibility that based on the investigations and subjecting the person to interviews and questions, it may even happen that he didn't qualify to be arrested and detained in the first place for processing towards deportation at all. So the person can be released. So we need to know more about the facts to be able to determine the fact that the person may be deported or not. But in most cases, in about 90% of the cases, the person is likely to be deported.
And do we know how long he's likely to be kept there?
It depends. It depends on the nature of the case that may be, or the factors that may relate to his arrest and detention. As things stand now, again, the facts are not readily available to put everything together, but the fact that his visa has not expired, but has been arrested and detained may mean that he might have done something else which could have occasioned his arrest and detention. I'm not saying he might have committed anything, but I'm just looking at the U.S. immigration laws, where your visa has not expired, but you may have committed an offense, or you are considered to be a national security threat, and the offenses that may relate to whether the person forged some documents to get into the country, whether the person has defrauded somebody. These are factors which may call for a deportation order, even though you still may have had a visa which is still valid for you to have stayed legally in the country.
We know that his visa expires next month, that is in February. Now, from now until February, we don't know how long he's going to stay in that detention center. But let's assume that he stays in the ICE detention center beyond the expiration date of his visa. What happens to him? Is he likely to be automatically deported?
If the time that he is legally supposed to be in the country expires, he will still be in the facility if he has appealed or questioned the basis for his detention, and therefore the appeal is being reviewed to determine if really he has a case or not. And so that may determine if and how long he might be detained beyond the visa expiration period.
Ken Ofori-Atta, of course, has been declared a fugitive by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Do you think this time presents the best chance for government to probably swoop in and demand for his extradition? Is that possible?
The two issues are different. So we need to look at both of them with different lenses. The extradition request is related to an offense he is alleged to have committed in Ghana. The attempt to cause his deportation to Ghana may be related to something else which he may have done, which connects with the immigration laws of the United States. So the two are different. Having said that, though, often, or in some situations, countries that ask for extradition of a fugitive for trial or for imprisonment or for some other purpose in their own country can go through two means. One is the legal process, going to court, which is what the Ghanaian government has done now with respect to Ken Ofori-Atta's case. But there's also the diplomatic channel where the government may speak directly between the two executives of the two countries to arrange for a person to be extradited to face whichever charges that he may have had in his own country. And we don't know if there is any connection here with regard to whether the arrests and possible deportation may be related to any attempt by the U.S. government to use that as a means to bring Ken Ofori-Atta back to face the charges that he's alleged to have committed in Ghana. But as things stand now, on the face of it, based on the facts that we know, the two are unconnected until we're able to gather enough facts to see if there is any linkage between the two.
And our sources also tell us that Ken Ofori-Atta has submitted, processes for permanent residency in the United States. Do you feel that is reason enough for him to say that he really doesn't want to return back to the country? That's why he's seeking that permanent residency status?
Well, that is a personal matter for him to decide. But what the application for the permanent residency will not affect the possibility of his being deported to Ghana. Again, the two, the process for that application is different from what the fact that he went there on medical grounds. So he got a visa to go. Now, if he wants to apply for a green card or permanent residency, I think in actual fact, he may have to return to Ghana or go outside the U.S. to do that application. So I don't know what the facts as is being bandied about is true or not, because it may be impossible for him to apply for the.
We ain't somehow writing because watching on so I'm not so jim or sene say obari India don't be edumia onia yabasamba realm na exuma kwanzo sonkusukra aha eg politics of